Kirk is not an attorney. This is not legal advice. This is to be considered for educational purposes only.
You're live.
Good evening, folks. It is the Wednesday night call-in show, and we do have a special guest with us tonight, Andy. We haven't brought him on yet, but we're going to do our opening here. We have John Gentry and Christopher Hallett with us tonight. How are you doing, brothers?
Good evening, Kirk. Good evening, John. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. Good to be with you guys again.
Absolutely. Sorry about Monday, y'all.
I went out of town camping for the whole weekend, and so good about around 60 of us up there, Idaho 3%ers camping out. Had a good time, did a land nav class, and got to do a little bit of law seminar stuff, do some education.
I'm not seeing the video on Kirk's Law Corner page. I'm trying to get a link to the video.
I'm sharing it now.
It's there.
I don't see it.
Do some education.
Do I need to scroll down or something? I don't see the video.
Try refreshing your page, John. See if that helps.
Well, I don't know what's going on Facebook, but it's the whole video is just scrambled.
Maybe S9.
It's like grayed out.
To my wall. Maybe you can find it there, John.
Everything looks good everywhere.
Yep.
On my
We're
end.
up and running.
I don't see any. The Zoom doesn't show any viewers like it usually does.
There we go.
Oh, it's up and running. We're at already at 9:10 on Facebook Live. So, yep, we are just playing catch up from the holiday.
Yeah,
I think everybody knows how playing catch up from the freaking holiday works.
I do want to say thanks to all our veterans out there. You know, Memorial Day is about remembering those who have fought and or died for us both. You know, my grandfather, World War II, April 1st, 2014, we lost him. And 3 days prior to that, March 27th, I lost my dad, who's Army airborne paratrooper, whatever, 2 tours in Vietnam, exposed to Agent Orange twice. So that's in my family right there, both in the Army. And I'm the Marine Corps, so thank you for all your service out there, whatever branch of military you're in, all 5 of them. And I guess they count the Coast Guard as in the military now, so. So what are we going to do here tonight, folks? What do you want to do?
Well, I figured, okay, I got my phone. I'm ready. I'm armed and dangerous now. I got my phone. Oh, wait a minute. I got a pen around here somewhere. I could do some serious with these two. Remember that shit?
It is the call-in show, so we do have a caller, so we'll get to him in just a minute. We'll bring him on and do that deal there. And then, call us with your questions, questions about the law, and we'll do our best to answer them. Between the three of us, we usually are able to answer just about anything that comes across our path. So,
and Kirk, is it all right if people ask questions about We the People group?
Well, yeah. That's what we're not all about, but we're about teaching the law, and what we got going on in the background there is We the People versus the 50 United States. And it's going to be that extraordinary writ of mandamus, straight to SCOTUS under Rule 20 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure.
Yeah, I think it's probably the most important case that's ever been filed into the Supreme Court in the history of our country.
And that's never been done.
With people of this country joining together, I think it's a never before happened occurrence, and I think it's going to wake some people up out there.
Well, the interesting thing about it, I think, is going to be not so much what's never been done, but the sheer broad spectrum of ideas, right? Of not just where the deficiencies are, but what we do to fix it, right? Because, it's funny, I've seen so many great ideas out there and so many people doing some amazing things.
Be careful with that mic, John.
Why don't I run for office?
John, you got to be careful with that mic. All I hear is rummaging.
Okay. Can you hear me like that? Okay, if I leave it down here.
Yep. That sounds good.
Actually, how's that? Check. Good sound.
That sounds good.
Okay, well, I'll start that real quick again and summarize it. In consideration of so many people out there doing so many great things, and why I specifically have not run for office. The answer to that question, I think, is more like yet. I don't believe I'm to the point where I'm ready to run for office yet. That day may come, it may not come. I don't know. But I can tell you right now, with where I'm at in the position that I'm in, I can do a lot more good for a lot more people. Believe it or not, from the outside, helping you bring your redresses before the appropriate committees. And as far as, what we end up doing with the 50 states case, whether we just simply establish a secondary process or we get some type of a input, it doesn't have to necessarily be a win. All we really want from them is to basically give us a path with which to redress Congress when we walk into the door and say, here's the problem. We asked the Supreme Court this question. Here's what they said. Here's what they would back, right? Here's what they would endorse. And it's time we get to work and get it done. So, and then there again, we've got, the so many people running for various offices, too many names to go down the list and, to give everybody a shout out. But every one of them has such great ideas, and they're taking their ideas, doing what they know, right? And that's exactly what every one of us has to be doing. Do what you know. Do what you're good at. There's my favorite joke is there's no wrong way to eat a Reese's. So, however you do that, the end result's the same. You still got that sucker down, right? So,
how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
I don't know. I've never done it without biting through the sucker. So I'm the wrong guy to ask. But this is the one thing I like to, about doing the show is because again, so many people doing so many great things out there. This gives me the ability to share with you in real time the redresses and the information that I get from the court, and basically what we do with that information. Now, as you know, in my own particular case, I am kind of sort of offshooting, but stacking into the tier with the 50 states case, my reporting methodology and why loss prevention files reports, not just pleadings. So basically, I'm redressing my government in totality. There's no rule that says you cannot redress your government in totality. You can walk into the court, you can walk into Congress, and you can walk into the governor's office at any time. Your right of redress is guaranteed. What we're talking about is the deficiency or the artificial advantages of their process. And one such emolument that I have pointed out is a rule that came out on based on an administrative order dated May 1, 2018, where they basically, and it's ambiguous by itself, but when you consider, remember the loop-de-loop process, when you connect all of these orders together, right, you got that long train of abuses and usurpations that I keep talking about. So to take and give this as one example of how those loops are created, right, what I do, right, that's what I'm good at. And again, you guys out there with your legislation, guys, you're just gone, home run. Get that 50-50 stuff going. I mean, that's right where you need to be. So for me, I like being in the trenches. It's flawing my character, but it's just who I am. So on that note, take it away, John, Kirk, whoever's going to get started on the 50 states or on the We the People case.
Well, do we want to join Andrew into the show? Is he still in the waiting room, Ted?
Yep, he's still there.
Yep, let's go ahead and let's bring Andrew in. Welcome to the Wednesday night call-in show, Andrew. Or should we call you Andy?
I don't hear sound from Andy.
He doesn't have any audio.
See if you can share your audio with us, Andrew.
There we
go. You got me now?
Doesn't have any audio.
You have me now?
Yep. You'll just have to turn your sound down on your other device so you don't get feedback.
Yeah, and Andy's fine. And I don't know your name. The other fellow's Kirk, and your name was the Dream Swap out. You got me now? I think I got everybody up top there, yeah.
You'll just have to turn your sound down on your other device so you don't get feedback.
Yes, you got.
Okay. And I don't know your name.
Yes, you got Kirk's Glock Corner in the background. Mute that. That's
I got everybody up top there, yeah. Is this better?
Well, I think it. No, I can hear myself.
Is this better?
Yeah, I think that's it.
There we go. I think we got it.
Okay.
All right. Welcome to the show, Andy.
Hey, thanks. And what's your name?
I'm Kirk Pendergrass. And then we have John Gentry over there and Christopher Hallett down on the bottom.
Good evening, Andy. How are you, sir?
Hey, good evening, Kirk and John.
So what prompted this was Andrew had made some comments.
I have bad sound here.
Yeah,
you have to turn your volume completely off on that other machine.
Ted Fogg, can you mute him for a minute?
I can.
Okay. Mute him so that background feed doesn't come in. Okay. So Andrew had posted that he wanted to come on and talk about his proposals for improving this project, and I am absolutely open to that. And maybe if we get that far, I'll be happy to walk through my conversation with Andrew in that regard. That he approached me and said, hey, I can help. And you guys know me, man. I'll learn anything from anybody, and anything that we can do to further this cause, I'm all about it. I will take anybody's advice on this project. So
hey, I'm not hearing a thing. I'm not hearing a thing, guys.
You can't hear us at all?
Do I have a volume button on this on Zoom here? Sorry, I'm kind of hawking over the screen here.
How many devices do you have running?
I just have this laptop on. That's it. And
Andy, do you have,
an external mic?
Do you have a pair of earbuds?
Can you hear us now,
yeah, that
Andy?
appears to be the only thing I have on. I'm sorry about this. I had never used this before.
Do you have a pair of earbuds?
It's a learning curve, let me tell you.
Can you hear us, Andy? Can you hear me?
Let me see if
Andrew,
I can.
Can you hear me?
Let me see if I can help him, John. 1 second.
Kirk, can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes,
I can hear you, John.
we can hear you, John.
Can somebody
when you're using a laptop with just the laptop, and you're pulling video and audio on a laptop, you have to turn the sound down far enough to where the microphone is not picking it up, but where you can still hear it. So it's kind of a fine line.
And I think I had you guys open twice. I'm hearing better now. And can you hear me okay? And is there any feedback?
Yep, no, I think I can hear you okay.
You sound
okay,
good.
Okay, I think I got it figured out then. Okay, I'm sorry, John. I missed about everything that you said.
All right, so I'll start back over. Andrew had first, somebody invited Andrew to the group, and so he had posted some comments that had basically that this project would fail, that it wasn't going to work. And I got rid of those comments. I immediately messaged him and said I deleted the comments because I'm not willing to accept defeat without the attempt. We got to try. We can't say we're going to fail without trying. And so then we had a little conversation, and Andrew said he would offer his help, and he's been an attorney for a while. And I'm all about, taking any knowledge I can get from anybody to try to make this thing work. And so Andrew offered, and I was like, yeah, sure. So we started emailing back and forth, and Andrew had made some comments through email that I responded to. And then Andrew came on and said he wanted to get on the show and talk about this project. And it just started getting carried away in the comments. And so I muted Andrew and deleted his last comment because I kind of wanted to end the conversation because I don't have time to sit on there and go back and forth on Facebook. And I think it's also disruptive to the group. And so Andrew posted this really, I was kind of offended. So Andrew said that I'm unfit to lead this group. And I thought that was rather harsh. And so I posted it on the page. And I took a look at some of Andrew's work, and I'm gonna share my screen now because Andrew had referred me to one of his cases. Can you guys see my screen, Kirk? Kirk, can you see my screen? Oh, you're on mute, Kirk.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so this is Andrew's docket here. And, this was the case that he referred me to and suggested that I look at a couple of motions on here. And so the plaintiffs in this case are Andrew Ostrowski, Pennsylvania Civil Rights Law Network, and the Body of Christ is a plaintiff on the case. And he has Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, the Society of Jesus, the Freemasons, and Satan. Satan is a defendant on the case. And as you can see, the plaintiff, Andrew, is represented by himself. The Body of Christ isn't represented by anybody. nor are any of the defendants. So no defendants filed into this. No defendants decided to represent or respond to anything in the case. And here's the docket. He filed a motion to proceed in pauperous, and then that was denied by the court. And so then he challenged about filing fees in here. And if we take a look at his actual complaint here, and I don't want to go through this whole thing, but again, here's the plaintiff of the case is the body of Christ, and the defendants, including Satan and Mark Zuckerberg. And just reading through this complaint, it is deficient, in my opinion, in a lot of ways. I don't see it as a cause of action at all.
Can we have like a little introduction?
Now let me just keep going for a minute. So count one. It says. Well,
can I have an introduction before you start like going? I mean, I wasn't expecting you to launch. I'm fine with everything.
Just give me a minute.
Hold on a minute. You'll get a turn to talk here, Andy. Hold on.
You'll get a turn as soon as I finish here, Kirk. Concurrently with the original complaint, plaintiff Ostrowski filed a declaration from the King's Bench, Pennsylvania Supreme Court, under Article 5 of the Pennsylvania Constitution is an evil institution to wit it has been constructed on constitutionally infirm foundation, violates separation of powers, checks and balances, and which are divinely inspired principles built into our nation. And and as I went through this thing, he has Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg as a defendant, but I don't find them referenced in any cause of action in here, showing any cause against them. To give you an idea of what a docket more typically looks like, I'll share mine here. You can see, this was a defendant here. This is an attorney who is no longer practicing law because of my work. And she hired 2 attorneys in the district court to represent her, as did this other defendant attorney, also hired 2 attorneys. And they hired 2 more to represent them in the Sixth Circuit because I fight pretty doggone hard. And if we look through my docket, I have the summons that was mailed out to the defendants. I did not notice that Andrew even summoned his defendants and provided them with a copy of the complaint. I show proofs of service with the green card, as well as a proof of service document that I filed into the court. And then you can see, the notice of appearances. And as you continue through my docket, motions, memorandums, responses, nowhere in here do they challenge my pleadings in this document. Whereas in Andrew's work, how does the defendant Satan represent himself? I'm not quite sure. And so, this is really serious business that we're about in this case with the people versus the 50 United States. There are people who are committing suicide because of these corrupt court proceedings that are going on. There are people that are subjected to substance abuse. There are people who are losing their children, their rights to see their children, and it breaks my heart. And, when I look at a docket like that, and I look at a complaint like that, I'm still, Andrew, I will still listen to anything, when I draft the final document, if you have anything to add to it, God bless you, I will accept it, as long as I can look at constitutional law, as well as I can look at Supreme Court opinion, and the arguments that you make are valid. I will absolutely incorporate it into the final document, and I will give you full credit for it. But to be honest, if you can't follow basic procedures of summoning the defendants, of providing I just feel like it's kind of a waste of time when you name Satan as a defendant in your case. And to be honest, if you want to continue with this, I will. And if you want to debate me, I will. I would ask the audience, to drop in some comments into the section and let me know if you think we should continue this conversation. Why
don't you let me speak, John? Why don't you let me speak?
All right, so I'm going to turn that over to you, Andrew.
Okay. Well, first of all, what drives me in being here is my same commitment to all those suffering people. Can you hear me okay? Everybody hear me okay?
I couldn't hear that. It's just my hearing. I apologize.
I can hear you fine, and you're coming in loud and clear.
Okay. Well, what drives me is the exact same thing, all the suffering that I've seen for years. And, let me just say up front, I am not looking to join your effort. I am not looking to have any role in it. I know that I could be an enormous benefit to what you're doing, and am willing to offer anything I can. I believe in principle that what you are doing has some very meritorious aspects to it. And I think the fella, and I forget the name, not to drain the swamp hat, I wasn't hearing earlier, the other guy?
Kirk.
Kirk and who?
And Chris.
Chris. I mean, in terms of the effort as I'm seeing it unfold on your end, going to the Supreme Court in the form that it's in and the ideas that I'm seeing kicked around. I mean, absolutely. It's a great it's a great entree to Congress. I'm certainly not interested in like doing a petition like that. And, for a whole host of reasons, because I think Congress needs to be cut out of the equation. I think the courts need to be taken to task. So I fully support the effort, and I've seen a lot of John's work, and I think, a lot of work was fantastic on his petition. And John, I have seen thousands of middle district, federal court dockets. You don't have to, do anything. I mean, honestly, launching in with that, when you sent me all these rules about a debate that you were going to structure, and I thought I'd have a little introduction, and I wanted to, set a tone of peace and harmony here, because, but that going through my docket and criticizing my documents, that was an unfair thing to do. I mean, it's fine because I can address all of it. I'm not concerned about a single thing that you said, and I disagree 100% with your opinion, including the body of Christ issue and including the Satan issue, even if it's just a word on paper. There's a symbolic reason for putting Satan on the dark side of a case like this. But my issue, my American system with justice litigation, I am proceeding with. You didn't get through the whole docket, which is fine, because actually, I wasn't even prepared to. I mean, I'm fully prepared to, on a drop of a hat. But I think time is better spent trying to find some common ground and some productivity here. And frankly, John, you're talking about, you launched in on this thing, and you went through my docket and made excerpts, and then you said like blah 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 over like real critical stuff, and then put it to your fans or whoever your group is out here, to make comments. And just about another minute here. I made some comments on your page early on. You deleted one. I did not say you were going to fail. I did not say you were going to fail. And anybody who looks at my record that is abundant on my Facebook page, anywhere, just Google my name and you'll find my record. Anybody who says I'm a saboteur, because I asked some reasonable questions, is jumping to a grave conclusion that is totally unfair. I mean, you kind of skipped over that whole thing, and that's what led to my post. But I can get over that stuff. I know how this stuff goes. But my question to you, John, and here, you can characterize my case any way you want right now, and it was an unfair characterization, and you're totally misguided. But I have one question for you. How are these thousands of individuals that you're sitting here and you're saying their hearts are broken and they're committing suicide and are subject to abusers, how is any one of those individuals going to be helped by your effort? And before you answer that, that's where I could help you immensely, because you don't have it. Your turn.
Well, hold on here, John. First of all, I know John through Facebook, so I don't know him personally, like man to man living in the same area. But we have spent extensive hours, even after the shows, on personal phone calls. I've read some of John's paperwork, and it's brilliant. And the fact is that he found in the rules of procedure, Rule 20, how to go straight to Supreme Court of the United States. And, another thing is John is actually talking with the clerk of the court, trying to figure out how to name all of these petitioners. So one way or another, everybody's name is going to be on this petition, whether it's as the petitioner, and we're going to have 50,000 pages of people's names, and then it's going to list the defendants, which is all the 50 states, right? So this is an extraordinary writ. This has never been done before. So, for anybody, and I'm not singling you out here, Andrew, for anybody to come in and try to say that we don't know what we're doing, and that they know what to do, I don't think so, because it's never been done. So
I don't think I said that, just to be clear, but go ahead.
Right. And that's why I said I'm not saying this to you. I'm just saying this in general.
I've been very complimentary of all John's work, and I prefaced it all with that. So go ahead, Kirk.
Right. And like I said, I wanted to make a point here is that this was in general for anybody, even the three of us, to come in here and say, well, we know what to do here, because we don't, because it's never been done. There's no model to fall after. There's no other paperwork that's ever been done in this manner. So there's nothing to even copy, to reference, to look at as a template. So, I mean, a writ of mandamus, sure. Right? Go ahead, John. No sound, brother.
So Andrew asked a specific question. I want to make sure that I address it and that I heard it correctly. Your question is that there's a fundamental flaw because there's no individual redress. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, that's only been a reasonable question from the start.
All right, so let me address that. First of all, what we the people are about is restoring the Republican character of this country. There could be no higher calling than to restore the Republican character of this country. We are fighting for the rights of our children. That is the individual redress. We are fighting to save the lives of our children from being subjected to a tyrannical government. That is the individual redress. I want to share my screen again and go back to Andrew's complaint here, because I think this is telling.
Telling of what? I mean, John, stop with the negativity, man. I'm trying to set a decent.
Well, no, you asked a question.
Let's just get down to business.
Here's the redress that Andrew seeks. He says, wherefore plaintiffs demand judgment against the defendants for all appropriate declaratory, equitable, and or legal relief, the latter being an amount in excess of $75,000. Repeatedly, Andrew has said to me, what about individual redress? What about individual redress?
Scroll up to count two, John. Scroll up to count two, John. Scroll up to count two, okay?
And I
answered to count
it.
Two and count one. Scroll up to count two and count one, and not go to count three and make it look like I'm asking for a measly 75 grand.
And the individual redress.
Hold on.
I think the individual redress that Andrew is seeking is monetary gain. And you know, the reason that I don't want to do that is our cause is righteous. If we go in there with 250,000 people, you know, seeking millions,
John, you are mischaracterizing everything.
Then I think it makes us
unfair, and you're misleading.
I'm just looking at your document. When I sued.
Oops. Now I messed up. Hold on. I gotta unfix it. Okay. Go ahead, John. Hold on, Andrew.
When I sued the state of Tennessee, I did not sue for money. I sued for reform because I want to fix my government and return it to its proper character. And I think by we the people coming together and demanding reform and not seeking monetary redress or individual redress, I think that strengthens our cause. And, you know, I answered you, and I answered that question to you. And just to me, looking at your paperwork and the fact that you've repeatedly asked me about this, it appears to me that you're in this to make money for monetary redress. You know, what could be more important than returning this country to its Republican character? Nothing, in my opinion. Take them off.
Yeah, I just want people to understand, you know, the root of this is all political power, all of it, not some of it, not a little bit, not most of it, but all political power is inherent in the people. So part of the reason why it's entitled the way it is we the people. You know, we're demanding. This isn't basically we're not going, well, I'm seeking permission to sue. And this is the part, the difference between this extraordinary writ is the fact that it's a demand and it shall be done. And we're not asking for any monetary gain. All we're doing is itemizing every single statute and anything that's in any state constitution that is repugnant to the law. And so this is where people need to understand the difference between what is law and what is code, what is rules, so what is policy.
Let's let Andrew respond.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, I mean, not only was that a mischaracterization, and frankly, I mean, we're men here, so we're going to have to just be able, because it is very important work, but that was a very dishonest mischaracterization of that complaint. You went down to count 3 of that complaint where I did sue Facebook, you know, because we need to challenge some of these things on corporate control. And I put $75,000 because under 28 USC section 1332, diversity jurisdiction, in order to rein in these corporations and make a legal point about it, about how courts can, how you don't need to go to Congress, how you can have courts to rein in these excessive corporations. I needed to establish diversity jurisdiction, and that's why that $75,000 is in there. You wholly went over let me finish, please. You wholly went over count 1 and count 2, where I personally disclaimed any claim for damages on any of these things and reserved the rights. Now, to your point, John, you are offering these people a hope and a prayer and an idea that's a wonderful idea, but you are not offering one parent out there who has a children lost in that system any relief from that. You are not offering one mortgage foreclosure victim out there who has lost their home, any relief from that. There is no vehicle for that. This whole thing about you being this wonderful guy who's after this wonderful ideal for this Republican form of government, that's wonderful. You're doing a petition that you're trying to get to Congress, and you guys can go down and have a protest. You are not, this isn't
for Congress.
I know this thing is.
This is the separation of powers. We have the right to redress government, right, for our grievances. And the judicial part of the duty of the judicial branch is to alter, reform, or abolish anything, any time. Okay, part of that checks and balances is here we are. We're going to, like I said, we're going to go through this one here, Idaho Constitution, and then we're going to go through the Idaho Code. And it's in every single state. Anything that is repugnant to the law is to be abolished. It's out of here. Well, that actually will do is it will remove those things so that, 1, attorneys can't use them. Number 2, law enforcement can't use them. And number 3, the judges can't use them.
Let me
if they don't exist in the code or exist in the Constitution, they can't use them.
Let me ask.
So that ultimately is going to change everything and bring us back to the common law.
And let me ask you a question, Andrew. I would like you to state for me the redress that we seek. I have published it in numerous places. I have stated it in videos that I sent you. Tell me, what is the redress that I seek?
The redress that you seek, okay. The redress that you're seeking on behalf of we, the people of the United States of America, is effectively the restoration of a Republican form of government because it's got out of control.
Well,
there are all these statutes.
In general, that is correct. But what are the specific redresses that we seek that will achieve that?
Well, maybe that's the question that I've been asking that's caused all this turmoil.
If you haven't read it and you don't understand it, how can you debate it? So let me tell you the redress that we are seeking.
Yeah, that's what I've been telling you to tell me, John.
Well, I've sent it to you. I mean,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Keep quick with
you have the petition.
Stop with the insults. When you achieve a professional tone, you'll have it from me, John. But stop with this stuff, please.
Okay, you have the petition to read, okay, and you don't understand that.
I have your individual petition to read. I don't know what you're asking for on behalf of all these others. I know that
I just asked you if you knew the redress that we're seeking, and you were not able to articulate it to me. So I'm going
Correct. I agree with you.
I'm going to articulate it to you now. And
that's what I've been asking for a month.
And this redress is posted on the site. And the specific redresses that we want. Number one, unconstitutional laws that were enacted to protect corruption must be made void. That's number one. Now, what that does is that opens the door for people to seek redress in their individual cases, because now they will be able to enforce their rights, because these unconstitutional laws are going to be shot down the drain. Number two is that we have an enforceable right of due process. The states assert false judicial and sovereign immunity. We're asking the Supreme Court in this case to say no more to that. They cannot assert sovereign and judicial immunity when a person is seeking redress for rights violations. So what that allows is, again, a second opportunity for people to seek individual redress for rights violations, deprivation of property, and federal crimes committed against them under color of law. Number three, redress that we're seeking is that the states provide oversight of the judiciary. The state, we file complaints against judges. Those complaints go to judicial oversight agencies and they dismiss 100% of them. I proved it using their annual reports that they dismiss 100% of these complaints. The redress that we seek is, okay, fine. Your little corrupt buddies in the Judicial Oversight Agency are aiding and abetting rights violations. That's fine. We want the Supreme Court to order the states that we have a mechanism to request a jury trial of that complaint. And the complainants against judges can present it to a jury and say, did this judge violate my rights? Did he violate the Constitution? Did he violate the canons of judicial conduct? So that's the third redress, and that allows us to fix our corrupt judges out there. The final redress that we seek is jury trial. So we cannot expect a jury trial in every single case. That is too big of a burden on society. But what we're going to order the Supreme Court to do is, when an individual is in proceedings, whether or not they're plaintiff or defendant, they get handed a piece of paper. And that piece of paper says, here's what your rights are. You have a right to be heard. You have a right to present evidence. You have a right to confront adverse witness testimony. And if you feel, this is number one, if you feel that your rights are being violated and that you're not being provided a fair and impartial court, you have a right to stop all proceedings, stay all orders, and demand assembly of a jury. That is the redress that we seek. That redress provides individual relief. That redress saves everybody going forward. And we are asking for nothing less than what's guaranteed to us in our Constitution already. Our state constitutions say we have a right to a trial by jury in every civil matter. Our federal Constitution says we have a right to a trial by jury in civil matters exceeding $20, $600 in today's money. So, you know, for you to come out and say this is a big flaw, that we're not seeking individual redress in this case, and the fact of your seeking monetary redress and repeatedly bringing this up to me when I have explained this into emails, that our redress is protecting our children, it tells me that you didn't read my work in depth, and you didn't look at the redress that I'm seeking in this case.
Okay. You know, may I respond briefly? You know, I appreciated the first 95% of that. You didn't have to stop it with an insult, because frankly, that's the first time that you succinctly answered the question. And what you are offering, and it's great. I mean, honestly, that's why I was interested in this from the beginning, because I saw the beauty of the angle of this of coming, you know, down from the Supreme Court. However, your characterization that you're specifically seeking individual relief, first of all, you have a petition that you filed on your behalf. That has been filed, and I'll let you explain. I understand you have a justification. That has been filed prematurely. Your petition for rehearing on bond before the Sixth Circuit has not even been decided yet. Your time to run on your individual petition hasn't run yet. I know you have an answer to that. Secondly, you don't have this thing in place. So, I think that there's a little bit of confusion that people believe that this case that you have filed in your case, and I know it sets the groundwork for it. I know it has a lot of good stuff in it, but that is not the petition. There's a subsequent petition that has to come. And by your answer, John, and I appreciated every aspect of it. And I think it's all fantastic stuff and it's absolutely correct. But you're offering these people the opportunity for individual relief. You're going to go through the Supreme Court, rely on them to accept this under their original jurisdiction, agree with you that all these laws are unconstitutional. And then if they do that, then these people can go back to another court and get individual relief. Now, and that's why I was interested in this project, John, because what I have set up, you should not be denigrating that case, John, because you don't know what it's about. And I sent you videos as well. You should not be denigrating my case and trying to slander me by suggesting that is just me money grubbing. I have dropped millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of cases to pursue this stuff. And I specifically took out my personal interest in any financial way. So let me just finish real quickly. That's where my case comes into play. And I'm going to do my thing, John. You're not going to say a word that's going to dissuade me from the thing about what I'm doing. But that, frankly, is the beauty of these two efforts combining. And if you need to go and do your thing the way you want to do it, and then put votes out and stuff, I don't need anybody's votes. I'm doing my thing. I'll offer suggestions, and it'll get done because, frankly, the Supreme Court component to this thing, it was mentioned right in the complaint that you glossed right over that I was going to do this in the United States Supreme Court. So go ahead, John. I was trying to be very gracious with you in the beginning. And John, you started off launching into my docket. That was totally unfair. And that's a cheap lawyer tactic. You're going to get chewed up and spit out if you try to pull that stuff. And I'll do it if I have to. I let you speak. Let me speak. I think there's an inherent problem with naming the body of Christ as a plaintiff because there's no means to provide redress to him. I just did a post on it yesterday. I just did a video on it. You go watch it and let's talk about it. May I continue? Well, okay, go ahead. You're not very honest, John. You're not very honest. And this is like juvenile stuff that you're pulling here. This is like to have Satan as a defendant who cannot defend himself appears to me to be a major defect. Now, you also made the statement that I went prematurely before judgment. Let me read to you Rule 11 of the United States Supreme Court. Certiorari to the United States Court of Appeals before judgment. A petition for writ of certiorari to review a case pending in a United States Court of Appeals before judgment entered into that court will be granted only upon a showing that the case is of such imperative public importance as to justify deviation from normal appellate practice and to require immediate determination. Your individual case is the world. You want to justify the I am fighting for reform of the state of Tennessee, and I am complaining that Tennesseans you're the petitioner. You're the only petitioner. I am seeking reform of my government, which is my right, and I am demanding reform of the judicial system in Tennessee because it's broken and corrupt. And this is a matter, in my mind, of exceptional public importance because Tennesseans cannot enforce their right of due process. Tennesseans are being subjected to mock trials on a daily basis. Tennesseans are not provided any judicial oversight whatsoever. Governor Carroll, third governor of Tennessee, he said, the character of a government is so reflected in its judiciary that it requires your constant attention at all times. And there is no attention, no oversight of our judiciary. I think that's a matter of exceptional public importance.
and I did something.
You're making arguments.
I'm going to make one final statement. I've done something that very few attorneys have ever done. I went in before judgment, fully justified under Supreme Court Rule 11. So for you to say that that was premature tells me that you don't understand the importance of the case and that you haven't read the petition.
John, you're a wonderful man, and you're the most important person I know. So your individual case should get that extraordinary attention. And that's fine. That's wonderful. I mean, I understand what the rules are and I understand what the procedures are. But again, that is your individual case, and that's fine.
Right, but we're not really talking about his individual case.
I've got a couple cases going, Andrew.
I know. But the one where you're talking to on your Facebook page that you have, the We the People versus the 50 United States of America, is not one of them. These are all you trying to set things up. I'm not trying to take anything away from your arguments, John, but these are all you seeking that, to set the stage. And you filed so you filed your this Rule 11 thing. You filed that before, the Sixth Circuit decision, and filed a motion to recuse the whole bench of the United States Supreme Court. Do you?
This is a really good point that you brought up.
Which is an excellent document. Excellent document.
This is a really good point you brought up, and I think this is also another document that you said was premature. Am I correct?
No, I didn't say it was premature. You sent it to me, and I read it, and I said I love it. I thought it was great. I mean, I don't think it's a real. I don't want to say prudent. I don't think it's the best strategic choice at this point.
Okay.
I mean, what are you going to do?
So what you wrote on the Facebook page is you said, if anybody has any doubts about Mr. Gentry, I commend you to read his motion to disqualify. So that was your earliest statement when we first started this.
John, quit doing that. That's exactly what I said. I said it was an awesome piece of work. It was fantastic.
Right. Now here's the
reason you're talking about is what I've been talking about for 5 or 6 years. So I'm glad you've been reading it all these years.
Here's the reason that
get on board.
Here's the reason that I filed that. The Supreme Court has repeatedly stated that adverse decision is no basis for seeking disqualification. So what that means is if you wait for their decision to deny you and then file, that's the excuse that the Supreme Court and all courts, all federal courts use, is that adverse opinion is not justification for disqualification. So I went in before, and it was a very strategic move to do that because it puts
the whole United States Supreme Court, who you want to accept and grant all this relief, you're asking all 9 of them to recuse.
Well, actually,
it was a wonderful document. It was a wonderful document.
What else did I ask them? What else did I ask them to do in that document?
What's that?
What else did I ask them to do in that document?
I don't know, John. I haven't looked at it in a couple of weeks since I first saw it.
Okay, so it's a motion to disqualify all of the Supreme Court justices and all of their clerks, or in the alternative, motion to affirm impartiality and or evidence impartiality. And I went to them and I said, here's the facts, guys. Gorsuch said any criticism or an attack on a judge is an attack or criticism on all the brothers and sisters of the row.
That was beautiful.
I'm attacking the judicial system. That tells me that I'm being subjected to a biased court who will not enforce the Constitution. And we know this to be true. They won't enforce the Constitution against bad actor judges. So I had clear standing, clear factual basis stated in there saying, I think I'm being subjected to a biased court. But I said, or in the alternative, affirm your impartiality. Just tell me, no, I'm not biased. I'm going to enforce the Constitution. I'm going to do what's right. And if you would be so gracious, show me where you've done it before. Evidence your impartiality.
Yeah, and real quickly.
That was a strategic document.
Yeah, you know what? And after that explanation and going over it again, I stand corrected. That was absolutely the right move, and it was a brilliant document. So, I stand corrected on that.
So let's, here's how I would like to proceed, Andrew. Is I am willing to accept any input from anybody. We've got 10,000 people almost right now. I'm going to draft out the document. It's going to be very similar to what I've already written in that petition for writ of certiorari against Tennessee. I'm going to add to that unconstitutional court rules in the district and the circuit courts, because that under Supreme Court Rule 20, it says you cannot get relief in any form in any court. And I'm going to argue, and I think it's pretty easy to argue, how can I go to a district court or an appellate court when I'm challenging their rules? I can't. That's a violation of due process. They cannot be defendant and judge in the same case. So we're going to challenge unconstitutional court rules in the circuit courts and the district courts. So that knocks them out. We're asking for reform of our state governments. So that knocks out all of the state courts. We're challenging that these state courts are mock, that they're no longer functioning as intended. So we have no means to redress that. So we satisfy that piece of Rule 20 in that way. So that part is not, well, I'm challenging unconstitutional laws in the petition that's posted in the group, but I have not done court rules. But I'm going to do that when we do the final writ. I'm going to challenge unconstitutional rules. We're also going to challenge unconstitutional laws in all 50 states. And so there's going to be a section, a small paragraph for each state. We got 40 pages to work with in this thing. And so I'm going to have a small paragraph and say these statutes are unconstitutional for Alabama. These are unconstitutional for Arkansas, all the way down through Wyoming, saying these are unconstitutional laws in all of these states. And then there'll be a small section of all of the district courts saying these are all unconstitutional laws for the district courts and the circuit courts. And then the general arguments that are already made in the petition that's posted in the group files, it will be the same argument that we're going to use in this final document. And so what I would put forth to you, if you can add to it, and you can show to me under Article 3 or Supreme Court opinion, any way that I can strengthen that document, and you can show me how it will strengthen. And I have to understand it in my mind. I want Chris and Kirk to look at it, and anybody out there in 10,000 people, if you have something to add to this document, I'm going to post it for everybody out there. And if there's something you want to add to it, God bless you. Help me strengthen this thing. I'm pretty good. I think if you read my work, I'm pretty darn good. I've been kicking these guys' ass for 3 years. And I know rules of procedure probably better than most attorneys. So I will put that out to you is let's stop, saying he's unfit for me. Let's stop. Honestly, I was concerned. You made comments out there, and it sounded to me, and other people made the same comment that it seemed that you were suggesting that maybe I took my work from you or something, which is completely. My work is 100% original. It's unlike anybody's. It's unlike anything that's ever been written. Nobody in this country has ever challenged whether a state is no longer Republican in character. Nobody has done that. That has never happened in the history of this country. That is totally original thinking.
That goes right back to what I was saying in the beginning. There is no man out here that has any knowledge on this at all. I don't care who you want to claim to be. This has never been done.
Yeah.
So there's nobody, not even the four of us here, the five, whatever we have, even,
Andrew,
nobody's ever done this.
Let's stop the silliness.
Right.
I don't want to go back and forth on the group page. I honestly don't have time for that shit.
So right now we spent almost an hour on this, and that's I'm putting a stop to this here right now.
Let me just finish.
No, there's no more.
Real quick, Andrew, and I'll let you follow up. I don't have time to go through it on Facebook. If you have comments, shoot me an email. You know that I've responded to your emails, and you've made arguments, and I have responded to them. Would you agree? Because I'll pull it up on my computer and share screen if you say you don't agree. So I have responded to all of your comments on there, and I will continue to respond to any comments or anybody else that thinks that they can strengthen this case. And so, let's work together, man. And let's keep out the infighting, man.
If there's anything positive, making this stronger, more effective, we're all for that. But to come in and try and bash us and say that we don't know what we're doing and, oh, I can help you, I can do this or I can do that, that's a me situation, and I don't do well with me. I'm very good at working as a team. I think things happen a lot easier when you have more than one person or more than one set of hands working on something. And this is the reason why Chris, John, and I work so well together. And I picked these guys out. I brought them onto my show. The reason why they're here is because we get along. We each have our own skill sets. We each bring, stuff to the table that is beneficial to each other. And those of you out there that have watched our shows long enough to know that the three of us together are just, there isn't much that we can't cover.
And I have learned so much from these guys about the, constitutional law from Kirk, original law from Kirk, emoluments and evidence. And I would not be where I am today if in the beginning Chris had not helped me out, so God bless Chris for getting me started, because I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for Chris.
It just
blown out. So, we all want to learn off each other. And if you have something to share, I'm willing to learn from you. I hope you'll learn from us too.
Yeah, I've been circumnavigating the sun now for almost 47 years, and there's still lots of things out there for me to learn. So, I'm not above learning something, and I'm an information junkie. So, that's the reason why I love you guys, is because I too learn stuff all the time from you guys, and as an individual. But on an individual basis, there is no possible way that we are going to bring this reform, alter, or abolish what's going on here. We have to come together as a group, as a community, because that's what the law actually says. In order to alter, reform, or abolish anything at any time, it has to be the community that comes together. And so as of right now, we're almost at 10,000 people in 4 weeks, or right around 4 weeks. So keep up the good work out there, folks. Keep recruiting people. Keep talking to people. Let's get them in the group. Let's get their names in there. It's all, once you're in the group, you're in. Okay. So explain that to the people that you invite into that group, that once they're in there. Okay. Their name is there. So if they end up leaving the group, their name gets lost unless we already have it somehow. So I don't know exactly how that's happening over there with John and how he's keeping track of that. I have my own things going on over here. Chris has his own things going on over there, which we're going to get to here in a minute. Yeah, and then John has his own things. So
let Andrew jump in real quick.
No, I think we're done with all of that, unless we got some positive stuff. I want to grab Tanya real quick.
Give him a closing statement, man. And Andrew, you're muted. I'm trying.
Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to get to it.
Okay, we're going to let you do a closing statement, and we're going to drop off here, Andrew.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Yeah, you got me on mute.
Yep, we got you.
Listen. Here's the thing. I was interested from the start because I thought it was a wonderful opportunity to really make something special of what you're doing there. I think it's a perfect component or an adjunct, but I had some ideas on that apart from that. All I do, I see your posts on your group, and that's where I read it. If I have a quick comment here and there, I was never trying to subvert anything. That's all the attention that I have to give to it right now. As I have good ideas, and I've laid out some ideas, John, that you haven't fairly characterized or represented here today, but that's fine. But I got my thing to do. I was never interested in trying to jump on board or taking over a project. I got an enormous amount of help that I have for you guys. But very frankly, the approach that you're taking lacks some sophistication. And I think that the people out there are being led. And John, the whole way that you dealt with me tonight was totally dishonest. And so if you're thinking that I want to be part of your effort, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't like what I see. I don't like how I've been treated. and I don't think that you have the right vision on this. But I think you're blowing an opportunity to do something magnificent to achieve everything that you wanted. So, with that, guys, thanks for having me on, and we'll be in touch. All right.
All right.
Okay.
Good night, Andrew. Nice to meet you.
Thanks for coming. Oh, well, he's gone. So here's the thing.
I'm gonna be right back.
When you attack people and come into like something big like this, I mean, this is a big deal, right? Those of you that are in the group already and have read some of the documentation that's there, you understand the magnitude of what we're trying to do here. You can't come in there and belittle people and then try and say that, oh, well, I'm king shit here and you need my help. That's just not how things work. I'm all for a good right-hand man. I consider myself a good right-hand man. I've never considered myself really much of a leader, but I've fallen into this position that I'm in now, trying to help the people, we the people. And this is what we do now. The three of us are a team. We work side by side together. Sometimes they even come together over there. If they weren't so freaking far away from me, I'd be over there. But I just had Neely stop by here last week on her way from Washington to Washington or to Tennessee, wherever she was headed over there, Kentucky, I think. Actually, John's in Tennessee. But we work as a solid team, and that's the only way it's going to work. If you've got the attitude and the mindset that you're going to be able to come into that group and start telling us what we need to do, the telling part is the hard part. Okay, a team doesn't tell other people what to do. A team collaborates and they share ideas with each other, and they come to a logical and reasonable conclusion that this is the best option or this is the best way to go. And that's what we do. Chris, I'm going to turn this over to you. Let's hear from you. Actually, let's grab Tanya real quick.
I was just took the words right out.
Tanya, are you there?
I am here, and I would like to just stand my pole into the ground with that flag on the end of it for you guys and say, united we stand, divided we fall.
Correct.
So, I mean, it's very, very good to have our debates, and those that get offended, they're going to express their anger and frustration. But my input into this is that we are all picking up the slack of what our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents did not do, or laxed in for their massive suppression and, being stomped down into the dirt from lack of education, and lack of patriotism. But yeah. I mean, this is something that I see, okay, and this is going to be my perception of it. You guys can add to it. My perception, and I think it's Title V, if I remember correctly, where the legislative and congressional branches are to clean up old bad law, toss it out, and implement new, modernize, okay? So in my interpretation of this, we've all hit the ground running once before, twice before, many a times over, many people have, addressing our legislators, addressing our Congress, addressing our judicial branch, addressing the executive branch, addressing everybody saying this is bad. We are out of control. It is time that everybody make changes. With that said, they didn't do what they were supposed to do for many, many, many decades. And here I look at this as a way of exactly what it is, a redress of grievances, clean up the old bad, like the bad taste in our mouth, and let's fix it. And it's being peaceably assembled. And everybody's adding to it and putting their little drops in and input in, which I think is very, very good. Constructive criticism is always encouraged, but as far as hateful blasphemy, it's not necessary, but I think it was a very good debate that you guys just had, but I wanted to be able to address everybody in that debate that united we will stand, okay, united. If we have this divisive nature, then we are no better than those that we are redressing our grievances with.
Would you agree? Would you agree that we just tried to unite everybody here?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's what I've been trying to do for 2 years. Absolutely. And I think that this is absolutely phenomenal, as you and I have spoke outside of this realm. You know, and I always try to drop my seeds every now and then, and you guys are very good at picking it up and very good at doing your research, even if you disagree with me. Even if you disagree with me, we have all been able to, outside this Kirk's Law Corner, outside of it, we've all been able to agree to disagree on certain elements, or just totally be like, okay, let's collaborate and let's research this a little bit more, or what have you. So I want to encourage our listeners, if you know something, if you have constructive criticism, hey, we are all in this together, and there is only one way we are going to win and be successful, okay? Win and successful, to me, are used interchangeably.
You know,
but there is only one way that... Go ahead.
I want to say something to that too, Tanya. What we have to understand is each of us are not the same person that we used to be, having dealt with the corruption. So many of us have PTSD. I certainly did in the beginning. I think I've gotten past it now. And so we're less trusting. We are more angry. We are quicker to anger than we used to be. And we have to remember that as we deal with other people as they come into this movement, that they have been wronged so profoundly that it affects their character. And we just have to come back to them, with love and understanding. And
yes, absolutely. We have to treat every person that comes in this with attacking measures and act like soldiers, okay? Act like who we are, debrief them and peel them like an onion. They have been programmed one way, and we all need to be the bigger people when we step in and say, okay, I totally get where you're at, because I can sympathize. You may not know exactly their circumstances and what has brought them to that point, but we all sympathize, and we have all been abused through this entire system, our entire lives, and then some. This is not something that only this generation has faced. Just other generations have never done it. And we do need to thank technology for the unification that we've got brought to the table. The technology has allowed us to connect people from other countries, from other states, from other counties, our legislators, our judicial branch, the bar members, and where I come into this avenue is where I see a level playing field that we all can bring to the table for all. Because if you think that there are judges out there who have not been blackmailed to do what they are doing, you are so naive, and you are so new to the truths. The whole system has been abused on all levels.
And Tanya, I want you to know, we are just getting started. I mean,
absolutely.
These guys don't know what's coming at them.
No.
We've got so many people in the group now. We have an army that we have assembled.
Yes.
And our army is going to continue to grow. And we're going to start putting tasks before this army. And we're going to organize, and we're going to create a movement that is going to sweep this country and return us to our Republican character. I have no doubt in my mind we are going to start kicking ass and taking names. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. Absolutely, John. And I'm right there with you. And, I think that there are so many people within the government that are actually starting to get the relief that they have needed to be able to come forward. I don't know if you guys paid attention to the executive order that popped out the other day, about the chains being put down on the feds, okay? But with that chain, if you read that executive order, came whistleblower protection. They are encouraging even those that have been blackmailed, sexually abused even. I mean, come on, man. Sexually abused in the FBI, encouraging them to come forth to Congress, you know, and tell what is going on so that we can cleanse everything, you know, and get rid of the bad, you know. And I think that we are going to make so much progress in this movement. I always encourage people to fight. I always, you know, and I don't want to say fight by using that word. I don't want people to take it as, oh, I'm going to go duke it out in the street with a judge. Okay. I mean, fight by invoking your rights, standing your ground, but do it with a little bit of dignity left in you. You know, I know that they have tried to strip that from all of us and break us down and annihilate us to where we are consciously not where we were, so they can toy with what's left. Okay, well, the carrot is no longer sitting in front of our face on a stick. We're eating that carrot. We are eating that carrot. We are annihilating it by uniting people, because everybody has been abused, legally abused.
Yeah. So I want to address something here, and I know that this is hard for a lot of people to comprehend, especially, you know, and I'm not going to, again, this is in general. This doesn't apply to anybody. I'm not singling any one person out, any group out. I'm not naming anybody. This is just law, okay? The legislative branch does not have the power to codify, right, the fundamental law. They don't have the power to change that, okay? So for those of you in the family law stuff, okay, marital rights and parental rights come from the law of nature. First of all, marriage is the religious act protected by the First Amendment and the Ninth Amendment, okay? Again, a religious act. It is a sacred vow between man and woman unto God, right? That's per the law of nature of this nation that was laid down as the law of this nation in 1776.
And let me break into that for just a second, Kirk.
So, parental rights, the same thing. We're talking about natural rights, okay? Again, has nothing to do with the establishment, support, or management of the government. This is not what we gave delegations of authority to govern us. So when we say, when people say, well, I'm going to make legislation that says parental rights are automatically 50-50, I'm shaking my head, because the law already says it's 50-50. We need to read the law. Statutes, codes, rules, regulations, and policy is not the law. So actually, it is an act of treason to make a statute off of the fundamental law. That is unlawful. You can't do that. Fundamentally, that is wrong. The law speaks for itself as it is written. And I can show you where it says this, okay? It's there. It's already there. And it's not just family court that's the problem. We have criminal courts, we have probate courts. You know, probate, that's kind of where around Chris's area too. But, you know, they take people's property through probate courts. Let's say your family member dies, and you're supposed to be in charge of the estate, but the government comes in there and says, oh, well, we're going to take all this, and we're going to take all that, and we're going to take all that. You know, it's all three branches of government have been corrupt. And talking about what Tanya was talking about earlier about they're supposed to be cleaning up the laws, right? But that's not the law. We are supposed to elect these representatives, right, to regulate all the agencies, right? We're not agencies, and we're not agents of an agency. We live at the common law. And I'll take you straight to American Jurisprudence, Volume 16, Constitutional Law, Section 100, which says bills of rights are merely declaratory of the common law. The common law is the law. Rights impose a duty. That duty that you are to respect everybody else's rights, including marital rights, parental rights, gun rights, your right to peaceably assemble. Okay? All of those rights is the fundamental law, the common law, the law that's common to all. So,
I wanted to comment from Lori Nicholson. She said, "But we can't state treason. We will be deemed crazy." I hear you, but I have all these parents fighting. We can't state treason. Who said we can't? Hell yeah, we can. And I've said it directly to the Supreme Court.
Title 18, subsection 2381 calls it treason.
And I quoted.
It's a crime.
I quoted a Supreme Court justice from 1908, Justice Peckham. He said, for us to take jurisdiction when we should not, or for us to abrogate jurisdiction when we should have taken it, the one or the other is treason against the Constitution. And by the same principle, exactly what Kirk just said, for these guys to enact statute that is repugnant to the Constitution is also treason. Would you agree, Kirk?
Yeah. Vanessa, okay, I'm going to single somebody out here, so hold on. Marriage is two people deciding WTF to do, not God, not the state, and not religion. No, that is false. As it is written in law, and this is why you have to read the law, okay? And in this nation, as it was declared, which I got my little book here, we'll just go right to the law here, the Virginia Declaration of Rights, June 12, 1775, where they laid down the law, and that is Section 16. That religion or the duty which we owe to our Creator and the manner of discharging it can be directed only by reason and conviction, not by force or violence. And therefore, all men are equally entitled to the free exercise of religion according to the dictates of conscience, and that it is the mutual duty of all to practice Christian forbearance, love, and charity towards each other. So in order to establish the law of nature of the nation, you have to pick a religion. I'm sorry this may come in conflict with some people's thoughts and ideas and opinions, but this is the way it is. And it's not the religion itself. It's the morals and principles, like 2 + 2 = 4. Okay? Let's go to the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not bear false witness. That's actually codifying the law as perjury. Okay? Perjury is not the law. The 9th commandment is, thou shalt not murder. Okay? That's why we get into violence is wrong without the use of force and violence. Okay? We're supposed to be a civilized society, and this isn't about practicing religion. This is about a morally and ethical society, and that Christian love and forbearance is at the root of our nation. And if you look at all of the documents that have been signed in history, they're all signed in the year of our Lord. So before you go off and say that this isn't this and this isn't that, try and understand this isn't about forcing religion on people. This is morals and principles. 2 + 2 = 4. 2 - 2 = 0. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 2 × 2 is 4. We can't change that. And I haven't run across anyone, whether you're an atheist or whatever, okay, that doesn't agree with me that murder is bad. It isn't bad, pardon me. Right? And that lying isn't bad.
And I think that the key point here is the law is our Constitution and our Declaration of Independence. That's the Declaration wrote for years before the Constitutions were drafted. Mm-hmm. And that was our law at the time. And that's where we have to look, not to statute, until we get together as a people and change the Constitution is law. And until we have a constitutional convention and the people want to change it, that's the law that Kirk is holding up right now. And
this right here,
that's the law.
All this Constitution is our form of government.
Yeah,
there's no real law there. Constitutions are the internal dictates of the mind. This is how we chose we the people back then, our founders, agreed to be governed by these principles.
And that's what we're fighting for in We the People,
right,
is the Constitution. And in the words of
right. Well, you talk about governing yourself, right? We are self-governed, right? So when you talk about methodology, the thought process, okay, behind self-governance, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not rape. But when you talk about how to address the court, remember, our courts come from our religious ideology, which is what Kirk's talking about. And based on that, we refer to these maxims of law as written in that language, right? And it specifically says here, where man-made laws fail, the laws of nature must be used. That's a core concept of our practice of law, right? So when we talk about these things that we've lost, these things that we no longer use, when I talk about core concepts of law, I'm talking about our methodology, our maxims of law, the history of where these things come from, which is why there are multiple factions out there doing everything they can to erase our history. It's bad. This one owned slaves. That one did this. This one did that. It's all they do. They got nothing but a bunch of bullshit claims, right? Now, whether they're true or whether they're not true is irrelevant. Those people are dead. That's just part of our history. So when we talk about where these things actually come from, right, the methodology, okay, we talk about, here's one, what is illegal ought not to be admitted under pretext of legality. So when we talk about these artificial advantages that they create for themselves, but they admit them under the pretext that they're legal, right? Until we go in there and challenge them as what they are as written in the Constitution.
I want to hit a comment here.
So when we talk about these rules of the court, hold on a minute, John. We talk about the actual Constitution itself and what it claims about our government. Multiple states refer to our government not being overrun by a man, a family, or a set of men. What is the bar? It is a set of men. What is the practice of law? It is the bar. It is a set of men. These things, when we talk about usurpations of the law by subversions of the process, okay, that's just a small portion of it. We're talking about how the hell did these guys even get there to begin with? Well, they have instituted this new substandard they call political correctness, right? In other words, you can't say something that offends me or I'm going to sue you. Well, wait a minute. Who gives a shit if you're offended? I don't care. Here's the problem. They have a firmness in standing in the courtroom where they can walk in, and they've instituted these mock trials again, these tribunals, right? I can give you one such number of a tribunal because it's got my damn name on it. 18-1472. That's treason under the Declaration of Independence. It's a mock trial, a kangaroo court, whatever. So when we talk about where these things come from and how this division is created, the answer is they've walked into all three branches of government, and every one of us, myself included, because they said, well, we're going to go in, we're going to do this, this, and this, and you guys don't have to worry about it. Well, that was okay when they said, okay, yeah, we're doing it. That's fine. But now that they've quit doing it and they're using it to their advantage, what's the thing that allows us to walk in and say, hey, dumbass, you're fired? And the answer to that was the emoluments clause as it was written, because like Kirk said it a couple, the forefathers during the Constitutional Convention, they saw this coming. They knew this day was coming. They didn't understand where it was coming from because it took months or years for information to transfer from one area to another. Now we do that in microseconds, right?
Right.
So when you talk about these ideologies and where these things come from, you know, like,
and I want to
stand in the courtroom and say, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. Remember, we're looking for that brand, right? Going back to branding. They don't care about if you're swearing to God. They're looking to see if you were deemed as a deviant through the eyes of the church, the eyes of God. So these are the things that we're trying to teach you guys. So when you walk into court, you'll know this stuff. Right.
And I want to hit a comment because it plays on the same thing that you're saying. Michael Priester, he said, I have a friend who believes that we are choosing people to be self-governed, so they want a democratic form of government. Oh my God. Look at what has happened to us, because that's what we have right now. It's a democratic government. We have lost our Republican character. There's no doubt. And look at the hell that we are going through right now because we in fact do have a democratic form of government. You know, Abraham Lincoln, he said that these dead shall not have died in vain, and that a government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. And you know, this shit that we're going through is not new. There's nothing new about what we're going through. This has been happening since the 12th century.
Yes.
And it's going to continue to happen. And who was it? Jefferson? Somebody posted it online, and I don't know the exact quote. I'll have to go look it up. But he said the roots of freedom, or the tree of freedom, must be nourished periodically with the blood of patriots and churches to restore that Republican character. That's, you know, that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And this is the most perfect form of government. Our founding fathers did such an incredible job putting the emoluments clause in place, you know, putting in place our right of due process, you know, and so this crap about, you know, we think a democratic government can rule better. Just take a look at where we're at right now and tell me if you think a democratic government is better for the people. It's not.
No, and it's not. Rights cannot be put to a vote. I mean, should we be able to put to a vote whether you can have a bicycle or not? How about wear lipstick?
Right?
You
know, I mean, where do you draw the line there?
Exactly. And, you know, absolute power corrupts absolutely. We've known this for a long time, you know. So if you have a democratic government, you have people that are in power, they're going to be corrupted, just like the corruption that we're seeing today. The government has to be by consent of the governed and of the people and by the people and for the people. And in that way, we secure the blessings of happiness and prosperity. No doubt. Not my words.
Okay. So I'm gonna do a screen share here. And hopefully it works.
On that, I'm going to throw this last one out there because one of the most core concepts that goes to our practice, actually there's two of them. The law is the science of what is good and just, and the safety of the people is the highest law. So keep those two things in mind when you think about what the three of us are working on and where our mindset is as we do our work, because that's basically, if I had to put it into words, what my mindset was, that's where my mind is. As far as the methodology of my work, well, that's Malleus Hominum Est Apprehendum, which is the malicious designs of men must be thwarted. And, you know, that's one of the reasons why I communicate these things the way I do. So when we talk about how we bring back our Republican character and form of government, we also need to bring back our Republican format of how we practice that law, as well as where that law came from. So you need to give them the entire package. So when I do what I do, that's why I do what I do. So anyway, carry on, Kirk.
All right. So breaking out the Law of Nations, written by Emmer D. Vattel. Okay. This is book 1, section 34. This is one of my favorite parts here, and then I'm going to take you back to number 30. But section 34 of the legislative power and whether it can change the Constitution. Okay. Here again, a very important question presents itself. It essentially belongs to the society to make laws both in relation to the manner in which it desires to be governed and to the conduct of the citizens. This is called the legislative power. The nation may entrust the exercise of it to the prince or to an assembly or to that assembly and the prince jointly, who have then a right to make new laws and to repeal old ones. It is asked whether their power extends to the fundamental laws, whether they may change the constitution of the state. The principles we have laid down led us to decide with certainty that the authority of these legislators do not extend so far, and that they ought to consider the fundamental laws as sacred. If the nation has not, in very express terms, given them power to change them, for the constitution of a state ought to possess stability, and since that was first established by the nation, which afterwards entrusted certain persons with the legislative power, the fundamental laws are accepted from this commission, from their commission. It is visible that the society only intended to make provision for having the state constantly furnished with laws suited to particular conjunctures, and for that purpose gave the legislature the power of abrogating the ancient civil and political laws that were not fundamental, and of making new ones. But nothing leads us to think that it meant to submit the Constitution itself to their will. In short, it is from the Constitution that those legislators derive their power. Due process of law. How then can they change it without destroying the foundation of their own authority? By the fundamental laws of England, the two houses of Parliament, in concert with the king, exercise the legislative power. But if the two houses should resolve to suppress themselves and to invest the king with full and absolute authority, certainly the nation would not suffer it. And who would dare to assert that they would not have a right to oppose it? But if the Parliament entered into a debate on making so considerable a change, and the whole nation was voluntarily silent upon it, this would be considered as an approbation of the act of its representatives. Now, before we get anywhere, let me go up to number 30.
Well, I just want to make a note of this because I want to incorporate this into our final document. So this is the Declaration of Nations. What is it?
This is the law of nations. This is the law that governs creating a nation.
Law of Nations. And what section did you just read? 34?
This is book 1, section 34.
All right,
now back in book 1, section 30. Of the support of the Constitution and obedience to the laws. Okay. The Constitution and laws of a state are the basis of the public tranquility, the firmest support of political authority, and a security for the liberty of the citizens. But this Constitution is a vain phantom, and the best laws are useless if they be not religiously observed. I've heard Chris say something about legal maxim about that, right? Maybe not legal maxim, just something in your paperwork. Anyway, okay. The nation ought then to watch very attentively in order to render them equally respected by those who govern, and by the people destined to obey. To attack the Constitution of the state and to violate its laws is a capital crime against society. That would be treason. Okay? Title 18, subsection 2381. And if those guilty of it are invested with authority, they add to this crime a perfidious abuse of the power with which they are entrusted. The nation ought constantly to repress them with its utmost vigor and vigilance, as the importance of the case requires. It is very uncommon to see the laws and the Constitution of a state openly and boldly opposed. Imagine that. It is uncommon to see the laws and the Constitution of a state openly and boldly opposed. It is against silent and gradual attacks that a nation ought to be particularly on its guard. Sudden revolutions strike the imaginations of men. They are detailed in history. Their secret springs are developed. That's what we're doing. This secret spring that we're springing up here, we've had enough. We're bringing the people together, okay? To show you from history. I can take you there. Trust me. I've taken you there. Those have listened long enough. It would be rendering nations an important service. Whoops. Their secret developed. Okay. But we overlooked the changes that insensibly happen by a long train of steps that are but slightly marked. Okay. So over time, little by little. Okay. And this is back in before 1776. He finished writing this in 1774. So this is right here what our founders used. Some of the language and the wording that's right here is in our Declaration for the Causes and Necessity of Taking Up Arms, in the Virginia Declaration of Rights, which is the theoretical foundation of all government, into the Declaration of Independence. Those three declarations are the law, laying down the law of nature of this nation.
This is perfect. This next one, it would be rendering nations an important service to shew from history how many states have entirely changed their nature and lost their original constitution. This is exactly the argument that I'm making, Kirk.
Exactly.
It's exactly, and I'm gonna thank you for sharing this again, because I'm gonna incorporate this in our final document, because it's exactly what the hell I'm saying. I learn from you all the time, Kirk. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is what I've shared before, and John was just like, "What the heck is this? What do you know?" And it's like, I have to thank Darren Mikowski for actually giving me a link to this document. Although I have come across Amardeep Vatel's writings throughout my history of last 23 years of readings, notably one would be a president has to be a natural born citizen in order to run to be elected as a president. That's also in this law of nature, which is right out of it. So, and it explains that.
Kirk, this is Darren. I just wanted to give a shout out and let John know that this law of nations is mentioned in the Constitution. So it is valid to use.
Where's that? Oh, yeah. Where's that in the Constitution?
It's in Article 1, I believe, and I can't tell you the exact section.
I think it's section
says the law of nations.
See, that's the kind of stuff that I want people to share with me when we do this final document.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
I will look that up here before I get off the call tonight.
Yeah, it is in here, and Darren has showed it to me before.
Darren, I'd like to.
Anyway, this is the foundation of our nation, really, and not just our nation, most nations. Okay, and this is like how it talks about the king and the prince. He's writing about what's already existing at the time. Okay, this is just how things are supposed to be. And if you've ever heard me read from the Declaration for the Causes and Necessity of Taking Up Arms, you know, Lord James came over from Great Britain in 1603, which was the original Jamestown, Virginia, and the first charter of Virginia. Brought his fortune and his family and everything over here, right? And started America. I mean, that's originally the first set of colonies that I'm aware of in history, and the first charter in history. So that would be Jamestown, Virginia would be the first. I know in 1492, Christopher Columbus, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah. But this 1603 is the only thing that I found. And if anybody has any evidence or documents to show anything prior to that, I'd be happy to entertain that. But as far as my research is in 1603. So we're talking 173 years before the Declaration of Independence, right? So this stuff's been around for a while. And so Emmer D. Vattel wrote about it and put it down as the law of nations. And it is what it is. I didn't write it. I'm just reading what it says. So this is what I try to get people, encourage people to read this stuff. Avalon.com, whatever, I can share that link. You want to talk about documents.
I
There's a ton.
I think you've shared that before because it sounds familiar to me. But tonight, I'm not so smart. You got to hit me with things a couple times. I got so much crap going on, I forget stuff. But I made a note on my desk tonight and got the Article 1, Section 8, Clause 10 or 11 from Darren. So thank you again for imprinting that on my brain one more time.
Yeah, you bet. I'm actually posting the link right now to avalonlaw.yale.edu. It's a law college. So I'm going to stop the screen share here. And I know that we had a couple of other callers and we're getting close to ending the show. So I'm sorry I took up that time, but I felt the need here.
Well worth it, brother.
Sorry, don't give us bullshit. Oh, love you, bro.
Love you too, brothers. All right, so let me see. The 3151, last four, 3151. You are live on Wednesday night call-in show.
Well, hello, gentlemen. How you doing? Oh, I'm sorry. Marines, too.
Gentlemen and Marines. Yes.
Yeah. How you guys doing tonight? Great show.
Good. Who are you talking with?
Matt.
Who's the caller?
This is Bob Welsel. How are you?
Oh,
hey,
Bob.
How are you tonight, buddy?
Oh, hey, Rob.
Fellow
I'm
Marine.
doing fine. I'm checking out the show, listening to John excoriate the naysayer in the background, but it's a good job. I wanted to kind of point out some things to you that I think that I've shared this with John already, so this isn't going to be new to him. But a friend of mine was involved with the Tea Party in part of Montana years ago, and it was growing like gangbusters. It had all kinds of momentum. It had all kinds of energy and enthusiasm, and people were fired up to get things changed. And it was like a flash fire in the pan because it disappeared. And one of the guys that I know that does some analysis of that kind of stuff, he says, the reason why is because they didn't really have a strategic vision and a plan for moving forward. They had a concept and they had a lot of energy in getting things done, but it really required them to think in terms of their overall strategy and how to move this mass of people in the same direction and not lose that momentum. And we've been kind of talking about that. And that's I think what the big challenge is going to be with this kind of group, because in my observation, there's a lot of people that are coming on board for, I think you could probably capsulize it in one word. They're coming on board because they see hope. They see hope for change. And if that's going to continue, then we need to put them to work, and keep that moving forward.
Yeah, thank you for your support. And we're coming together, bringing the people together. We, the people, again, all political power is inherent in the people. So, like what I was just reading there, it just is a slow, meticulous encroachment upon our rights until we're at the point of absolute despotism. And yes, our previous, our parents, grandparents, and I've even talked to my mom about this, and I snidely made the comment or sarcastically, like, yeah, it's all your fault. And then talked to my grandmother, it's all your fault because you didn't do anything about it. Well, the thing is, technology, we didn't have that. Horse and buggies back in my grandparents' days. So, how were people supposed to communicate? Well, technically, we were supposed to be communicating with each other and noticing what's going on to our neighbors and go, man, do you see what happened to Joe the other day? That's not right. And you're supposed to come together as a community in your community and put a stop to it. But the problem is we're too far past that, right? I mean, we're at the point where we need to basically, as an entire nation, need to come together and go, no more. This is wrong, and we'll itemize it. This is the most civilized way that I can think of addressing the issues that we have. There is the alternative that's already been in history. I don't really particularly want to go there. I really, really, really don't. I really think we ought to be able to sit down and just discuss this and show the evidence that this is unconstitutional, this is unlawful, this is unconstitutional, this is repugnant to the law. And let's do this, right?
Yeah, you mean that we're not using carrier pigeons and smoke signals to talk to each other anymore? When the hell did that happen? Oh, sorry.
SOS
and,
Right?
Lori Carr just made a comment. How do we get nations together? America always has led the way in the recent history of the world. And so if we can fix this problem in this country, and I know we can, 10,000 people in a month, and it's going to branch out. We've got Second Amendment rights people coming in to the group. We have other groups that are coming in and joining with us because they're not just family rights people or CPS people that have had their rights violated. It's happening across a broad spectrum. We're getting veterans groups that are coming in, and we're gonna, as the group grows, we're gonna have spurts and stops. It'll slow, and then another group will join us. This country is coming together. I know that we are, and we're putting together a team that is beyond us. Robert Wosel is joining us to help develop a strategy that he talked about was lacking with the Tea Party. So we've got smart people. We have candidates, gubernatorial candidates who are on board with this. State legislative candidates that are on board with this. Just picked up with a guy, John Roberts, out in New Jersey. He is totally on board with this thing, and he's with the New Jersey Constitutional Republicans group out in New Jersey, and they're joining our group. So we're going to keep pulling people together. We're going to be smart about it. And we're going to start putting out how every single person in our group can involve themselves and help further this cause and grow this thing and become a part of it, not just with your name, you know, furthering it using your own skills. That's what makes America great, you know, is that, you know, we each have our abilities and our skills, and, you know, with help of guys like Robert and with the team that we've got here and the candidates that are joining us from across the country, we are going to change this country. I have never been more excited than I have been in the last month. It is incredible what is happening. Well, I'm like overwhelmed.
John, do you mind if I give a little preview and an example of what I'm talking about in support of you guys?
Please do. Please do.
Yeah. When I talk about trying to provide a supporting structure for what John's got going on, one of the things that I gave him an example of earlier today was he's working on a legal case, and there is you know, he's got that well in hand. Well, what if we took a couple of people in the group who, for example, might be able to write, and we showed them some ideas of content that they could write, that we could get published in various blogs and various places around the internet. This content would be explanatory in nature, that would provide some of the foundations, for example, on the case. So, and then we work with something that might be akin to a press release. And we work with some candidates who might got elected, or some legislatures who might be interested in hearing some potential articles of impeachment. And we make a plan, a coordinated plan to release this information together. So that when a media outlet who gets the press release tries to Google, they see all of these articles that have been filtered into the internet over the course of months that provide background information. And then you start building momentum with this. It's called seeding the electronic battlefield. And there's some real ways to do that. I could see a group like yours, you know, with 10,000 people, you've got people who can do graphics, people who can write, people who know how to do research, people who know how to raise money or whatever. It doesn't really matter what it is. What I'm suggesting is that with that many people, you've got a lot of resources. And if we could start directing them in ways that their efforts are actually supporting the cause, rather than being independent causes that are all kind of working in parallel or even in opposition to each other, you start developing a very powerful force.
Well, it's funny too. I got a name for you to that end. I just talked to her this afternoon. She's probably here. You'll find her in the comments. Audrey Kimner. She is very well connected with various media sources and great with networking. We spent a good couple hours on the phone this afternoon actually discussing that very thing.
Awesome.
And if you take somebody like that and say, let them help develop a press release strategy, you know, and one of the things with a press release is, I can tell you, if the UPI or the API or some news center gets a press release, the first thing that one of their researchers are going to do is Google it. They're going to Google the cause or some keywords to try to find out what's going on with that. Well, we want to make sure when they do that, they get information that we provide. And how do we do that? By writing articles over the course of weeks or months and get them sent to friendly blogs or get them published in different places so that they are relevant, they're topical, they are new, and they're going to see, gee, and they have all the information, the source information that you need, like the cases, you know. I mean, who's going to dig up in a news media, going to dig up a case from 1908? But if there's a 1918 article that has a reference to that and a few key quotes from it, now all of a sudden that 1908 case is right on the forefront. And that's how we can make our information much more relevant.
The other thing we were talking about.
I hope that somebody from the Sixth Circuit and the state of Tennessee and some of these other governments are watching. And I hope they're shaking in their boots, because we, the people, are done with this. We're coming. I hope they're watching right now.
Yeah, we are coming.
John.
We know what's up. We know that you're usurping the law, that you have committed capital felony treason, which is punishable by death. Okay, that's the reason why you're not supposed to commit treason. It's serious. You're not supposed to trample on people's rights. You're not supposed to usurp this right there. This is your limitation. This is the law. If it's not in here, that process doesn't exist. Then you've usurped the law, and that's treason. Capital felony treason, punishable by death. So
when we think
we're out of time here tonight, let's do a 1 minute deal there. Go ahead, John.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. I think the message tonight is pulling together as a people, to put aside our differences, to work together, to be understanding of one another, to be accepting of one another, to forgive and ignore and overlook the anger that is in each of us who have suffered injustice. I think that's kind of the thing that we heard tonight, and I am so on board with that we set aside differences and come together as a people to fix and start to heal our country.
Thank you, John. That's it, really, right there. It's all about coming together. It's about liberty. Christopher, what do you got over there, brother?
Well, I just wanted to say thanks for everybody for stopping out. I don't know if they're still watching, but I just wanted to give a shout out to my kids because I know they were out there. I saw Amber pop in.
Awesome.
And so I just wanted to let her know that I did see her out there. But we, as usual, we got, going on to the topic, and that's just how it always works out. But as far as some of the things that we are doing, one of the reasons why I do this is because the law belongs to all of us, you, right? Not just me. So, or Kirk or John or whoever. As far as how we do it, Kirk nailed it earlier. There's no template. The oldest one that I could find in our history is the format known as a habeas, okay? Not to be confused with a habeas corpus for unlawful imprisonment, right? But when you talk about the actual habeas format, when you write in that format, when you send that to the various branches of government, that's a format they understand. It's one they comprehend, and they won't have to spend a whole lot of time going, what the hell am I looking at, right?
That's the common law.
Right, exactly. So, and it's funny, I've done videos on this where you talk about, how do you construct your document? I always give everybody the best piece of advice I can give you is starting with your cover page, okay? You want to give the best summation of what's inside that document as you possibly can. So when whoever senator or congressman picks that bad rascal up, they can look at that and go, okay, this is a practitioner official report, right? And here's a guy with his credentials on it. So here's a federal case. This is something I probably ought to read, right? And it's very short. It's, again, one of the things that I always highly recommend is don't use small type. Use larger print, okay? Remember, you're also talking about people who spend a lot of time reading, and they're going to end up with headaches a lot. So when you go in there with this little teeny tiny weeny little print, so you can squeeze as much on that one page as you can, you're not doing yourself any favors because they're not reading it anyway. If they can't pick it up and go, aha, I know what that says, you just lost your reader's attention. So consider the person to whom you're addressing, make yourself as clear and concise as you possibly can, and is always, 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 remember right here, that person probably knows nothing about you, knows nothing about your case. So keep the language to a respectful tone. And, you know, just kind of, you know, follow those basic rules and concepts, and you'll be just fine. Because when they start attacking you and your character, Senator so-and-so is going to pick that thing up and go, that's not what I got out of this. I got out of this was clear, concise. There was nothing accusatory. This was facts. What are you talking about? And that's what you want them to look at. You want them to say, remember, we hold these truths to be self-evident. I don't see anything bad about this, so I'm holding that to be self-evident. So, again, I know it's hard, but keeping your cool, keeping your head, keeping your wits about you. If you can handle that, you'll be just fine. So, with that, much love, everybody. And we'll see you guys back on Monday.
All right. Thank you, brothers and sisters out there. Much love to all of you out there. Thanks for your support. And like, share, follow, and get this stuff out there. Let's get more and more people into the We the People group versus the 50 United States. We are coming. Got to put it in writing, civilized manner. Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you Monday. If Ted's ready, there he goes.